Hey, welcome to the Sisterhood of the Traveling Bantha. We are your hosts, Denise,
And Rexy, and we are recording with special support from Council Member Mark Collier.
and we're broadcasting from our galaxy to yours
May the force be with you.
always.
Hey, Herd.
What's up, herd?
How's it going?
Oh, we are 2 weeks deep now into a show that recently released.
Yup. So, this is your weekly spoiler alert. Alert, 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 alert. There will be spoilers ahead. If you have not seen Andor Season 2, Episodes 4 through 6.
Just 1 through 6 in general.
1 through 6 in general. Please
Yeah.
go back and watch that and then come back and hang out with us. Unless you're just one of those people who don't care about spoilers. I couldn't personally do it, but if you can, we're happy to have you join us. So one more time. Please, if you have not seen Andor Season 2, Episodes 1 through 6, please go back and watch those and then come back and join us.
And if you aren't sure what episodes 4, 5, and 6 are, because that's what we are primarily going to be talking about.
Yep.
Episode 4 is Have You Ever Been to Gorman? Episode 5 is I Have Friends Everywhere. And number 6 is What a Festive Evening. You know what I just realized?
Ooh.
Those were all said at one point during the episodes.
Yes, they were. They were. Have You Ever Been to Gorman was a conversation that Cyril had with his mom in Season 1, right?
I don't think they had it in season 1. I know it was.
Was it just earlier?
I think it was just
Oh, okay.
earlier.
Okay.
I was not okay. So time jump in the show. We went from episode 1, 2, and 3 to 4 BBY to episode 4, 5, and 6 3 BBY.
Yep.
And
Yeah, 1 year later from the events where we last left off.
I was not expecting. Like it took me like a hot minute to realize what was going on.
Oh, same.
I thought at first Cyril and Deidre were broken up, and I was like, why is he on Gorman though?
I was so upset. Because I was so happy by the end of season 3 or episode 3. I was so upset when I thought that they broke up.
Because the conversation he had with his mother,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you finally find somebody who's willing to put up with you, and then
Make a life with you, and you walk away from it
and go to
for
Gorman.
Gorman?
And then she's like talking all this crap about Gorman, which obviously we now learn that Krennic has started pushing this propaganda against it that was referred to in the first 3 episodes. And he's like, Mom, you need to stop listening to that news.
Been watching too much Imperial news. Yep.
Fake news.
She's still as insufferable though. Like, you notice how immediately when she thought that he and Dedra broke up, she was like, all right, back to my old, completely overbearing self.
So did you notice though? So he's having this conversation. We do find out he is actually undercover with the ISB and with Deidre and gaining intel on the planet.
Okay, one more thing.
So he's being tapped into.
Oh, before that though, back to his mom just for a second.
Okay.
She said right before he got mad and hung up on her, she was like, same time next week. He's been keeping up with that Dedra was like, just leave us the bleep alone. I'll make sure he calls you once a week. Leave us alone.
So yes.
She's been doing that. Because she said same time next week.
But I was going to say, so he's being tapped into by kind of like the rebels on the planet. They're super frustrated that the Empire is there.
Yep.
They're building an armory like in the middle of town where there was a massacre like 15 years prior led by Tarkin.
Mm-hmm. And there were like 500 people standing in the middle of this town square and they were protesting and they refused to move. They were protesting him. And so he just landed on top and killed 500. He just landed his ship on top of them. And that is known as the Tarkin Massacre.
And so while they were listening in, even these like rebels were like, God, his mother's insufferable. Like they were just like, I can't stand the mother.
Like you love to just hate her.
Like they were just
She
like,
is,
ugh.
oh man. We have got to talk about her for Women of Star Wars some episode.
Yeah, it's in the books. I want to wait till the whole season comes
me
out.
too, but we definitely got to talk about her.
But
She's something.
But yeah, he did such a good job though of playing this double spy. Like I did not know that he had it in him because he was so like he wore his emotions on his sleeve in the first season.
Yep.
And the second
He
season,
couldn't conceal.
You know why? Deidre showing him how to.
She's a master, dude. She is so good, but he is really, really falling into this role. Like he, I think, is having fun with it.
So then, before we find out he is actually a double spy, like he, the rebels reach out to him, and I was like, oh, is he flipped? Did I call it? Did I call that he flipped?
Yep.
Like
I keep thinking he's gonna die before he flips, but
I was like, okay, now he's working with him. He's against the Empire. And then when he calls her, I was like,
traitor.
Dude.
No, you know what I think is going to happen? I think. Oh, I'm drinking soda. So now I'm burping. I think that him working with the rebels, I think he's going to start to empathize.
Yeah.
And that is going to be one thing that really pushes him towards flipping if he lives long enough to make it. But I do think he's going to start to like understand where they're coming from and empathize
and question why
they're doing this.
Or question the Empire. Why is the Empire really doing as much good as they're saying?
Right.
And
they're hurting all these people and they're willing to die for this. I also am, as much as I love her, man, I'm afraid something's going to happen to Dedra, and that's going to push him. Or something's going to happen to him, and that's going to push her.
I don't think anything's going to happen to her until the last week the episodes drop. Because
they're really important.
Because they, so Star Wars listed, like, the top 8, like, the main cast, and they were both the main cast. It was those two, Bix, Cassian, Mon, Will.
Yeah.
Woman.
Saw
Sagar
plays a big part in this.
And I can't remember the last one. Luthen, yeah. So I think those core will make it to the last
the way through.
The last 3 episodes.
Yeah. I think we're gonna lose a bunch though.
Although
like a bunch.
I think maybe next week we might lose Will.
I thought we were going to this week.
He's getting high off of rocket fuel with Saw.
Oh, I know. Saw's pushing him so hard.
It just shows
crazy. Rocker. Yep.
It just shows you how crazy. Not crazy. I don't like using the word crazy, but extreme.
Yeah. He is a complete extremist. He is just as bad as the Imperials, just like completely so far in the opposite direction that he's almost touching the back end of their direction. You know what I mean? It's like just
full
about
circle,
yeah. He's just so and like, man, Willman has already had to leave his girl. He lost Brasso. He's stressed out. Now he's here, and he is the only one left now who knows how to siphon this fuel because Saw just popped the other guy in the forehead for being a traitor.
Well, the other guy didn't even know how to do it. He was teaching him.
I know, but I mean, like, now it's just him.
The
other guy who was learning is
Saw
found it.
kept emphasizing how this was such a lost, like, art almost, because not many people know this technology. And he was like, where did you learn this? And like, so obviously Will picked it up from somebody, but now that's just so much more pressure. So I don't blame him for inhaling that rocket fuel.
Me neither. But also, like, this is flammable. I am concerned. Like, if he does this wrong, it will explode and everyone will die. And so they're inhaling it, and I am concerned.
So yeah, I think something might happen to our friend next week. I think he'll be the next one to go.
I don't know how much longer Lonnie's gonna make it. He's doing such a good job, but I'm worried about his mental health.
Let's talk about Lonnie. You gotta realize, I read this online, and I never thought about it in this way. Lonnie's high up there with the ISB.
Dude, yeah.
Like,
it's not
like he's just an officer doing job. No, he's up there with Deidre and all these other people managing like sectors, and you kind of think about what kind of dirty tricks, what kind of things, unspeakable things did he have to do
to get there.
to get to that point. And the fact that you can tell, like, especially when he has those interactions with Luthen, that it guts him, like,
It's so hard on him.
like, and the fact that he can be there and hide in the shadows and keep up with everybody, like, stellar actor. Like,
I think I can see him start to crack.
I think we saw him starting to
And I'm
crack at
concerned.
the episode 6 at the party, like,
Yeah.
where everything just kind of like crashed into. But yeah, I think
With
he's
him
gonna lose it.
Going back, I know we're gonna bounce around a lot for this episode, but like going back to Gorst, right? Like the Empire loved his work so much they were going to turn him into an entire program, and Lonnie was going to be one of those people in charge of making this program. Like,
that was the
that's
torturing
how high
program.
up he is.
Torturing program.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
that was the guy. Dr. Gorst was the guy who tortured Bix.
Mm-hmm.
I want to wait till the end to talk about Cassian Bix.
Yeah, same here. I get a
was
lot
heavy.
on that one.
Same. But yeah, like, so just to further emphasize how high up there Lonnie is, he was one of 2 people chosen to take that torture and turn it into an entire program.
Yeah,
2 people in the entire Empire. Not everyone even knew that this torture technique existed.
Mm-hmm. And so I just make it. You never realize how many levels there are, or layers, when it comes to all this, because normally when you think of the Empire, you just really think of like, oh, TIE pilot, or Stormtrooper.
Vader.
You got Vader, but you
Kelpie,
don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's the ISB, because we've seen that in the cartoons.
Right.
We've seen it in Clone Wars. We've seen it in Rebels, but we've never.
They're a presence, but we've never known them.
No, we have never seen them in live action on screen.
Mm-hmm.
If you've read the books, you know about how ruthless they are.
Yeah.
Ruthless, and they will take any investigation and turn it to however they want it, and to fit their narrative. Like they're the worst of the worst, and people would always say that about the ISB. These are the worst of the worst. They have no moral code. They do what they need to do, and they don't care who they take down.
And Lonnie, a rebel, is having to pretend to be exactly like them, or worse, because he's so high up in this.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he's able to help the rebellion so much. But like, the mental toll that must take, like the pressure.
I couldn't even imagine just living that double life. And there's such extremes, these 2, but the ISB, and then being that intel for
the rebellion.
And that makes so much more sense. Like when in season 1 they talk about, he was like, I want out. He tells
when he was talking to Luthen,
and he's like, want out. And he's like, no, I have invested all these years into you. Like, it makes
like, you can't. I can't.
There's no way they can get somebody up there that quickly again. Like, they literally molded him from the ground up.
And he's important.
Like,
to the entire rebellion. Like,
the rebellion would not be where they are without his input.
No. And the knowledge that if he's caught, the ways that they will torture him. I mean, like, he's putting his entire neck on the line.
And
like,
he has a family too, remember?
Yeah,
he has
his life
kid.
And his family's life. Like, because they won't just go after him. They'll take
No.
his kid.
They'll take everybody you have any sort of association with down with you.
Yep.
There is no limits to
just the pressure. You see everybody starting to crack a little bit this season. You see
these 3 episodes. Yeah. Kayla. We did this last
Why
week
can
too.
we never remember her
We
name?
did this last week too. I think it's
We did.
Keela.
I thought I had an R in it.
Keely. No, I don't think there is an R.
Oh, why are we so bad at this? Kayla?
God damn it. Kyla? Shit. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Luthen's assistant's name is.
I am looking it up.
Why is this so hard for us? We both really like her.
K-L-E-Y-A.
Keela.
Okay, I
Keela.
think we said that at one
I think
point.
so too. One of the names that we threw out there.
Keela.
Keela is stressed.
Well, she's the one that's doing all the communication between everybody in the rebellion at this
She is the
point.
bridge. Yeah.
She is And I
Oof.
don't think Luthen appreciates what she does.
I don't think he appreciates anybody's efforts to the point that they really should be, and I don't know that he can afford to. But
He's got an ego
he
too.
has no problem using people and having them be disposed of, like having them be disposable. He has no problems with this. I think he cares about people, but he has no problem sacrificing them if that means
Prediction:
greater good.
he is going to be her downfall. She is going to get killed because of him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That is where I see this going, especially after what conspired during this whole, like, she is stressed out trying to communicate to him, like, hey, we need to get this, and he's like, oh, well, okay, well, yeah. She's like, no, like, we have to get this part off of this artifact, like, we need to.
They had put a listening device in Skolden's museum, and so when one of the times she was listening, she had picked up that Skolden found a forgery in his collection. Now he freaked out, blew up, and was like demanding a reappraisal of everything. And their one chance to get their listening device off of his artifact was at this party they're going to.
And
one
boy,
chance.
that party.
Well, that was stressful. Stressful.
Everybody that. So,
Krennic was there.
well,
Lonnie was there. Lonnie was there.
like,
Uh,
it was a centralized hub because it was like the opening of the Senate season, so all these people,
Yeah.
like all kinds of
what were they
senators
calling
there,
them? Investor parties or something like that.
something like that,
Like, hey, we're senators. Everybody's throwing a party.
to welcome them, to start forging those friendships and those alliances at these parties. But yeah, her and Luthen were there, and
They were like
Luthen
split
was
up trying to get like.
I
well,
don't
Luthen
think
didn't.
no, Luthen was not trying to get anything. He
Yeah,
was just,
she was trying to get it all done.
which I can kind of get because he is the face of this business and the face of finding all these
That
artifacts.
is true. Everybody looks
So
at him. They watch
he-
him. They
He
know him
needs to keep that, so that gives her more
being in the back.
ability.
They know she's assistant or
Yeah.
whatever, but he is. Everybody knows who Luthen is. So I guess if they caught him messing around with the artifact for a really long time.
Because it was a
probably
really long
suspicious.
time. But I want to talk about Mon going into this party. So leading up to this, she was already.
Let's back up to the car ride before we go into the party.
Well, I wasn't going to go back a little bit further with her trying to build alliances
Oof, her
for the against the port.
Montage.
She was going because against PORD,
Yep.
which is that torture.
That was the
No.
prison.
Prisoner ordinance.
Prison-
Oh my gosh, I looked it up earlier because I knew this was going to come up.
Prison ordinance resentencing directive.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Whew. Yeah, this is.
Which if you don't remember, the public ordinance resentencing directive. Yeah. So this was, if you go back to Andor season 1, this was. If you go back to season 1, this is, remember when Andor, he gets arrested.
Yep.
They were like, oh, 6 years or whatever. And when it was typically a 6-month sentencing, is they essentially tripled the time of everybody. Anybody who was in prison, like, their time got
Nobody was getting
restarted. They
They
weren't.
were floating them around between
Yep.
floors,
And
and now we find out like that is well, we knew it was to build Death Star parts, but we find out the people that are making the decisions for this in these meetings why they're doing it.
so this came after the Aldani
Mm-hmm.
thing, and so it was essentially they were trying to nip it in the butt any potential rebel.
Yep.
Uprising.
Yep.
But like the fact that and that's what Mon was trying to get people to support, to try to rescind this bill, because it is a huge overstep.
And she was just constantly meeting rejection
overstep.
though.
Nobody wanted to
Everybody's
be a part of it.
afraid of the Empire.
Like they're like, I don't want to get.
Like, can't risk my people. I can't risk my planet. Like we can't risk it. Like her talking to Gorman.
Yeah, they were
and
just like,
he
nope.
was like, we cannot. Risk
She's
it.
like, but you guys need it the most. Like they're
Mhm.
overstepping. He's like, we don't want more drama after
Like,
what
it's going to get
happened
worse.
with Tarkin. Like
Yep.
we need to stay low. We need to stay quiet, and that just shows what even in that like year and a half,
how bad it's gotten.
like people are just bowing down to whatever the Empire wants because they don't want the drama. They don't want to
Right.
bring attention to their planet, to their people,
Because
to
they
their
know
societies.
what's happening.
And
we know it doesn't work out. We know about the Gorman massacre. Like, we know it does not end well for them. Like, you know, in hindsight, they should have stood up and fought because it didn't end up so well. But they didn't know that. All they can see is the people standing up and trying to fight against the Empire getting crushed. And this guy's job is to protect his people.
And so I don't blame him. Like, it,
No,
you're in a
that's
hard
like
spot
an
at that.
impossible position.
And so she just kept getting rejection after rejection after rejection.
So
Which-
hard to watch. Like,
If you got to think about it too, like, this has been happening. If you read Mask of Fear, which takes place like within the years after Revenge of the Sith, like, she has been constantly getting
drum
rejected.
up support for this. Like, and
Well,
getting
not
turned
just
down.
that, but like stand up to the Empire because
Nobody
she feels
wants
like
to.
they have too much power. Just think about years and years of rejection and years of people saying, no, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to push the buttons. Like,
Yep.
I don't want to bring attention. I'm surprised that she is still going at this
know.
point and still fighting the good fight.
And it's got to be completely deflating. And like, you're trying to do your job. You're trying to protect people. You know this is going to be bad. And nobody wants to stand up with you because everyone is terrified. It's like, you can't blame the people for being terrified, and you can't blame her for wanting them to band together and fight.
But it's also like, she also comes from a planet that's so well off and nobody messes with. So sometimes I feel like she's a little jaded to what some of these other planets experience, especially the further you get away from the core
Maybe
worlds.
out of touch.
Yeah, out
Maybe
of
what
touch.
you're like. Yeah, she's wearing beautiful fancy clothes and drinking expensive wines and eating lots of food while there are people dying and scraping together enough food to try to eat because the Empire is starving them out.
So it is, I think, for her
Probably
a little
a
bit
little
easier to stand up. Just same with like Bail Organa. We talked about that in Mask of Fear. He doesn't care. He's not worried about how he's going to be perceived because he comes from Alderaan, which is a core world, and it was very well loved.
He and was very well off. Like, he didn't have to want for anything. And people really liked him. So he had that going for him too. People kind of view Mon at this point as kind of a troublemaker. And a pest and a nuisance.
Yeah.
All of this is just working against her, and she's just watching this all come crashing down and not being able to do anything to stop it because she can't get any support behind her. And it's crushing.
And so that's why it's so important that she goes to these parties. And it was very interesting while her and Perrin
in the car
going to... Perrin has done like a complete 180 since season 1.
Dude, I couldn't stand him. I really like him.
I
kind of respect his character at this point.
I think they have definitely come to an understanding since season 1.
Yeah.
Since their daughter got married off at 15.
Yep.
But he does like to be among the people, and
Yeah.
he does like to schmooze, and he does like to party.
It seems
So
like
he
she's
was
kind
like
of handed him that role.
the whole
Like,
party planner for, like, he
was
coordinated.
not happy either, though. He was like, man, there's like 100 parties in the next 80 days, and like
Not even 80 days. It was like the next like 8 days. It was like a short time span, and she was even like, I
what
remember.
if we skip this one or go to 10 minutes of this one, or we have to end the night here because we can't leave early at Scoldin's.
But it was very interesting too to see, like, I think the senators are really wanting people to connect with, because she made this comment, I don't know if you caught it, where she was talking about, she's like, do you remember when we first got here? Like, we didn't host our first, like, ball for like years. And she's like, now people are coming and they're immediately throwing these parties.
Yeah.
So no, maybe they aren't trying to, maybe they're just trying to throw these parties to get in the good graces of the Empire, to show, hey, we're here to support the Empire in Coruscant, and trying to
let's celebrate. This is great.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is. And so
you can tell that neither one of them wanted to be doing this, though. And he,
probably
what did he
tired.
say? He was like, how do I pack a year's worth of insincerity to 3 days? And she was like, well, you figure it out.
But you also have to think they've been doing it at this point probably 20 years, because she was in the Senate Before the Clone Wars started.
Yeah. So they have been having to play this game for basically their entire
At least
lives.
20 years. And and so
That's exhausting, dude.
exhausting. And that's what I'm saying.
Constantly
And then,
have to be on. Like,
and
always.
not getting the support you want to get the things moving forward.
Right. Everybody's too scared to stand up and fight with you.
Going
and, you're like,
and being pulled by the ISB and tortured.
Oh, right.
Like,
and then still having to be like, oh, because right there, it all kind of converges in this, in the meeting hall at Skolden's place in the gallery, because there you see, Luthen and Mon and Krennic, and
was not expecting to see Krennic there at all.
I was trying to figure out who they were talking about because she walks up like somebody, and she was like, "Oh, where's your buddy?" And I was like, "Who's this buddy?" This buddy turned out to be freaking Krennic. And so Krennic and Mon had a little.
Oh man,
like,
they have this
a word spar,
turf
like a
war
word battle.
Like
Yeah, turf war. I don't know. It was all words, but man, if those words were swords, there would be a lot of bodies.
And you could tell at this point that Mon is she's definitely more vocal about things she didn't like with the Empire, because they were looking at history and talking about how history repeats itself, or we need to learn from history and all these massacres and stuff like that. And Tarkin's like, well, I don't know, they can be great. And like, she's like, no. But it worked out.
She used to be very even and not really push that boundary so that she could easily get support for things. But now she's like, no, this is wrong, and I'm gonna talk about it.
But it worked out because while this was going on, we had Lonnie and
Keela. Yeah. Keila. Keyla.
It's Kleya.
Clea.
We didn't even say it right earlier.
Oh my god.
Clea.
This is for a character we like so much.
Clea.
Cannot remember her name.
Because they were trying
to get the bug out of the artifact.
So it worked out really well.
It was a good distraction. Mon and Krennic having a fight was a really good distraction that they needed, it turned out, because that bug was stuck.
But yeah, like just all the tension going on in this room. The tension in these 3 episodes, like I posted something on my TikTok the other night, and I was just like, everything feels so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tense, and like, I love it, but little disclaimer, I don't like that we're getting 3 episodes at one night because I can't stay awake because I'm so tired. But I'm loving it. But I'm loving it because I don't think we would understand the full story of these 3 episodes
if we didn't get to watch them together.
They were separated.
It would be kind of like season 1, where it was like we
the
should
first
have had
episodes.
more blocks.
Yeah,
because they went together. It helped tell a cohesive story arc.
But like it felt so heavy in that room.
Can you imagine being a person who wasn't involved in either the tour or getting the bug out, and you just walk into this room, you just be like, no.
I would just turn around and walk away. Like Perrin was there too, and he was off in the back. But there's one point too where Krennic and Luthen are like staring each other down too.
Oh,
Did you catch that? Yeah, like they're like Krennic's just standing there, sizing up Luthen. Which I mean, Krennic is a smart guy. Like,
he didn't get to be director for nothing.
He is a very smart guy. He's also a very scientific guy, and he also believes in research and finding the facts.
He analyzes, he thinks, he watches.
And so it's very interesting to see him analyze Mon and Luthen and what's her name? Kyla. Clea.
Oh, that's right, because he walked over and was like,
they were asking her what this machine.
I've heard this is a personal favorite of yours.
And
she's just like, very special.
and which it was a really cool artifact because it came from a planet where it was actually you were highlighted, or
it was considered to be an honor to be blind. A gift.
And
blindness was a gift.
And it was like a bowl with braille on it, essentially,
it was
telling
like
a
book,
story. Yeah,
but you had to rub it in circles So kind of meditative as well. It seemed like she called it the something codex tin. Started the
can't
T.
remember.
Something codex.
But it was really cool. The just watching, because she talked about it and you could see just the braille. I almost said hieroglyphics.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Pictures that mean
depending
words.
where it came from, time. We don't
Maybe.
know what their cultural like dialect and language was. And,
We don't. We do know that Gorman is obviously Space France. Gorman is definitely Space France.
I do want to, before we get back to Space France, I do want to say that Krennic was like, oh, blindness is not something to be bragging about. And I was like, this is a very able person who is living above everybody else. But
He is
anyway.
Terrible.
But
you know,
that's his character.
He gets his karma.
Yeah. But does he survive? No, he was on Scarab during Rogue One.
Yeah.
Anyway, Space France.
Space France.
I loved.
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful. Do we want
Wow.
to talk about Vale before we get and Cyril before we get back to Andor and his trip, and then Bix
Yeah, I think we should talk about Vel
and Cinta?
Cinta.
Okay,
I did not see that coming, and
I
I'm not
did.
happy about
I
it.
saw it. I was not surprised. You want to know what I was more mad about? The fact that we did not find out what happened to Tay.
I know.
She was like, she just dropped a hint that there was an accident a year later and she needed to recover.
And it was probably that. It had to have been
And
something
we
to do with Tay.
never find
Had
out.
to have been.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I think it is. I think it's one of those things where they did kind of allude to
Yeah,
that's
it's
what it is.
assumed, but we're not like finding out for sure, set in stone. But we probably know what happened.
I was a little bit more mad. We were gonna find. I want to know what happened.
Well, there's still time. I still think somebody could say something.
I don't think we'll find out. I think
You
it'll
know?
be one of those
It's just like, yeah, we're pretty sure this happened. But, yeah.
assumed events in time.
Hey, I mean, looking back now, I can see where they were leading the story to Cinta dying. I can see that for sure. But watching it, I was not prepared. And then to have her be taken out by that completely inept, freaking stupid, fluff-headed, I can't stand him.
Okay.
And he, like, completely, he didn't listen to anything at all. The whole time, he was, like, causing problems. He was arguing. They told him, like, very specific reasons. Nobody's getting a blaster but us. He's the one who doesn't follow orders. You freaking murder Cinta. I'm a little about it.
Okay, so you might not like what I'm going to say about this. I have been all over the Facebook groups today. You know what? I think they did that purposely because this is a time of war, time of an uprising. Not everybody is going to have these glorious deaths as warriors.
Yeah.
There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be people caught in the crossfires, which happened to Cinta.
Yeah.
There are people, same with Brazos. He didn't get a...
That's true, too.
Like-
And he was amazing. Also just got caught in the crossfire.
And so I think this is to
Hate it.
build that emotion to make people realize, like, this is dirty. This is messy.
War
This-
is not glorious.
This is the start of an uprising where people don't know what they're doing. Like, they went
I
to
agree
the
with you.
planet
I just
and they were
hate it.
very green. And so I
think it also helps to illustrate how inept this group of rebels was.
That's
like,
Cassian said he didn't want to have anything to do with them because
Yeah.
they're too green.
and they are. They're inexperienced. They don't know what they're doing. They can't follow orders. They can't follow the chain of command. And because of that, they got one of the best, people in the rebellion around this area killed because of something really stupid. I agree with what you said. I just don't like it because I
So-
really liked her.
I
But
kind of
looking
wish
back, you can see where it was going because they brought her back. They had
she
her.
reunion.
Yeah.
They,
It was sweet. They got
rekindled them.
together. They apologized. They talked.
it was
And now your heart is broken, and now there's more
it was
emotional impact.
very almost cliche in that aspect when it comes to storytelling.
Yeah.
Like,
Just say, like, looking back now, I can totally see where it was going. But watching it, one, I was also falling asleep. Not because I was bored, but because it's 3 hours of Star Wars, pretty much.
and we
2.5
also been
hours.
super busy
Oh,
the past
man.
month.
Yep.
So-
So I was kind of falling asleep. So I also did not see it coming. And when it happened, I mean, I like gasped and jumped. I was like, oh, no.
I didn't have as much of a reaction.
I love
but
Belle and Cinta. Like,
I know that's your thing.
They've meant a lot to me.
I didn't have the same connection with the characters. And that's okay because everybody has their own characters that they connect with. People remember that Star Wars is for everybody.
Yes.
Who you may like, somebody else may not like, vice versa.
And that's okay.
That's what makes it great.
Last season, I absolutely despised Cyril.
He's
Denise
one of my
loved him.
favorites.
Absolutely. Dina's too. This season, though, he and Dedra are like, they are the reason I am watching the show. I suppose they're like top tier entertainment, but also Bix and Cassie, which we will get to. But man,
it's such an unhealthy relationship between.
They don't know what they're doing.
You have an hour. He's like,
turn off the lights. He's like, what? Turn out the lights. And then she just stands here like this. Put out the lights. He's like, oh, okay. I think they genuinely care for each other.
I think
they just don't know how to do
express it.
Yeah.
That's what I think
She was
it is.
literally raised by the entire empire. Like, that was her whole life. In a kinderblock. Which, I think, I have a theory, and it might be very far-fetched. But I think Dedra might be Cassie and Cinta.
No, I don't.
I think maybe. Because I think it would be really interesting to have this whole thing where, like, she's searching for him this entire time. He has been searching for his sister the entire time. You can tell her hair is dyed. She has dark roots. It would say initially, like, they don't look anything alike. But if she had dark brown hair, that might change a little bit. It would also be incredibly interesting to have this showdown and have her be his sister.
I don't think so. It's an interesting theory, but I think she's substantially older.
Oh, do you?
That's like one of the things I've seen on like the pages and stuff is the timeline of it. She said she was put in the kinderblock at the age of 3.
Yeah.
That would have mean she's only like 20.
Oh, okay.
So, or 21. She's not.
Yeah, she's not.
Yeah. So, because the Empire took over in like 19 BBY, we're now 3 BBY. Like, it doesn't
so that
matter.
couldn't work. Dang it.
So, I think.
That was a fun theory I had, though. I was like, oh, they're showing her roots. Maybe it's a hint.
But I think that, like, she was on a very, maybe, like, I do believe she was obviously grown up in the system, but it may have been called something different at first, and at some point it did transition to the name of the Kinderblock by the Empire. Yeah. It could have been a Kinderblock of the Republic.
Could have been.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's true. We know very little. Like, that's the first, I think, even glimmer we've heard of a Kinderblock before.
Yeah.
Or them raising
and
children.
And I also think that Cassie may have given up on finding his sister because Marva told him
you
need
did
to
tell
stop.
him to quit.
There's nothing left of that.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and also she's too pale. She has the blue eyes, and they're very.
That's true. They were all very dark.
Yeah.
Dark eyes, dark hair, dark skin. Okay, that makes sense.
So
well, I'll let you know the next theory.
I was saying because they're also very close in age too, and she just looks substantially older than him. I don't know, but that's my take on it.
Yeah.
I would like to see.
I can see how that would.
I do remember the first
her.
time we met Bix, and before we found out there was a history there, I thought that they were going to be the brother sister.
Remember we talked about that, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like,
and
what's
then
he
next thing
this
we knew,
amazing.
we hear there's a history there. We're like, "Oh, never mind."
Not a sister.
Not family.
Nope.
And that's like,
very glad to find that out.
But yeah, it was very. Ooh. But yeah, Cinta and Vel. Like I felt bad for Vel. She was so heartbroken, especially because she was grieving the loss of that relationship. In the previous episodes at 4 BBY,
we see her.
She was heads over heels,
broken, and she was like, "No, if she wanted to see me, she would." Like, you can tell, like, she's just devastated.
And I'm glad she did get to have that, like, glimmer of love and hope.
Yeah,
and
like some closure, right? Like,
Yeah.
they got to have a conversation. They both got to apologize. They got to, yeah, like, rekindle that, no, I love you very much.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of time. They got a little bit of time, at least. They didn't have to, she didn't find out she was dead on a mission somewhere and, like, never got another chance to talk to her. So, I'm really glad that they did that.
And also, like, I think, too, in the midst of all of this, they still need those little moments of humanity to keep going in this fight. Because we see it with Vel and Cinta. We also see it with Bix and Andor.
Mm-hmm.
And we also saw it with Brazo and Talia.
Yep.
And the last one. Like,
Oh, B. They didn't mention B at all.
And
with, I mean,
we don't know.
to a very lesser extent, we see that connection with Lonnie and Clea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
even Perrin and Mon, like, the
yeah,
normalcy, like,
the connection is important. Like, going back for a second, I do want to mention something that we didn't touch on, but I think was huge. For Clea and Lonnie, when they were standing there trying to get that artifact out, and he was like, I'm gonna walk away. You're gonna, like, you can see it in his face, he's like, you're gonna get me killed, you're gonna blow everything. And she's like, move. Right. Right. So then he goes, what would you do if I wasn't here? And she's like, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Like, she is willing to do anything to protect the integrity of this.
Yeah.
And so is Luthen. Anything. And sacrifice anybody.
And that's why I think Luthen is going to be her downfall.
Yep. He also he's kind of ignoring that, like, she really needs to be able to do her job. And he just kind of expects things, but isn't allowing her to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and then he blew up at her about throwing the bug in. But she was like, we wouldn't have had all of this information had we not bugged the place. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I wanted to touch on that. Like, she is so determined to win.
Yes.
And even just that little bit of time when she was, like, slicing her hand to ribbons trying to get the bug out, you could tell she was also enjoying getting to tell Lonnie about the artifact.
Mm-hmm.
It was a moment of connection for her.
Yeah. Definitely needed.
But Vel and Cinta, their moment of connection was very fleeting, but it also, I think it was huge for Vel. And I think it's going to push Vel to some really, like,
Vel's
really
gonna
intense
monster.
places.
I think she's going to. I think there's nothing going to hold her back anymore.
I mean, she's lost the woman that she loves now for the stupidest reason. And I really loved the speech that she gave. Like, I saw somebody call it Cinta's eulogy when she was talking to the idiot who shot her.
You don't
get to cry. Yeah. I mean, that was almost up there, like, not the same level as Luthen's speech, but it was very good as far as memorable speeches from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I hope that when I die, there are enough good things about me for something like that. I think that's a good aspiration.
You're good.
Okay.
I don't think you have anything to worry about.
That was quick.
But yeah, that just whole scene. But which is so crazy. So Luthen sent Vel there and Cinta there.
Yep.
Despite Cassian, who was previously there on a mission, telling him, no, don't do it.
Like,
this
is a bad idea.
These
it's a trap. They're not ready.
Rebels don't have it in them to do what needs to get done. They've never done anything like this. It was a very kind of like hoity-toity society. All they did was make clothes.
Space frames.
That is all they did.
It was very artisanal, very beautiful, very soft culture, very pristine and orderly.
Nobody
not
does
militant,
manual crazy labor. Like
we don't have people who know how to do these things. And he's trying to tell Luthen, like, they're gonna get crushed.
And Luthen's
like, whatever it takes. At least they're fighting.
Yeah, we'll take any able body at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, so Andor, Cassian, and Bix.
Man, that opening with Bix's nightmares is brutal.
She has some serious PTSD.
And it's not surprising.
It's warranted. Like
She was
tortured, and then the Imperial officer came onto her the previous week.
Attempted to assault her.
Yeah.
And she killed him, which she already is like traumatized
and jumpy of the Empire because of this torture. Like, she is not okay.
You can see, like, there are shots of her while she's waiting for Cassian to come back, and she's doing drugs to try to go to sleep. Like, they're showing drug usage, which I think is really big for Star Wars. It's really dark for Star Wars to be showing it on screen.
We've seen people use spice before,
little bits here and there,
but never to the point of this. When she has her PTSD.
She has some shambles,
depression. She has like
you have these
a whole
shots
list
of like the house is in complete disarray.
Yeah,
she's just laying over, and there's piles of stuff around her. She's using the drugs to try to sleep or keep the nightmares away, one or the other. And you can also see that like these nightmares are blurring more into reality.
Her will to keep going, I think, too, was slowly slipping as well.
Yep.
And Luthen showing up kind of put a jolt in her.
A little bit.
I
think it woke her up, and it also made her mad, which was really good. I think she needed some anger.
Because at this point, Cassian was off-world in Gorman on a mission, just trying to scope out the planet.
Right.
Not much happened with Andor there. He learned some of the history.
Yeah.
These
Talked
three
to some people, felt it out.
These 3 episodes were not about Cassian.
No.
It was building.
They were about Gorman.
The ground for what's coming up and showing what's going on with Cyril and Bix and Mon and behind the scenes to build this rebellion.
The strings. I mean, I know we're on Cassian and Bix, but like back to Dedra and Cyril for a minute. Man, Dedra is playing him so hard. I think she does care about him, but she is just puppeteering him.
See, I don't know how. I think Cyril cares substantially more for Dedra than Dedra does to him. I think she sees him. Yeah, I care about him, but she sees him more as an asset to get what she wants. And I think she's going to break his heart.
I definitely would agree with that. Like, she's going to use whatever and whoever she has to get what she needs.
She has no problem having him tailed.
No.
Bugging his stuff.
She just told him, I know, I had you followed.
He was like, what? Like, come on.
Yep. But, yeah. But anyway, so Luthen
showing
goes to
up.
visit Bix.
Yeah,
While she is in the middle of this, just wallowing in her depression. I've been there. I have been in that point where I'm done. Like, I don't have the will to go anymore. I can barely pick myself up off the floor and take a shower. And I can recognize that. And it's like, when you can't sleep on top of it,
it just
like,
makes it worse.
One of the worst forms of torture you can apply to somebody is removing their ability to sleep. Just keep them from being able to sleep. And she has all this trauma. She has all this PTSD. She has this terror, like she's terrified all the time because she's hiding out in a safe house that hopefully is safe. Cassian is gone. She's worried about him, and now she's on this drug. I mean, like, she's falling completely apart. I think had Luthen not come in when he
think it would have ended differently.
I think so too. I don't think Cassian would have found her breathing when he came home.
That was my big fear, and the fact that he was there, and Luthen was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you to do something. Never mind.
Changed my mind.
But even then,
he was kind of talking about, like, I'll see if I can find a different house, something with a better view. Maybe you need a break.
Which is almost out of character for Luthen because he prides himself on not having that connection and
just not caring.
But maybe it's not because he sees Cassian as a bigger asset, and Cassian does all this stuff for Luthen, and he knows if something happened to Bix, he will lose Cassian.
Bix is Cassian's one weakness.
Yeah.
Like,
and he doesn't want to lose.
She brought up, the Cassian killed somebody purely because he saw Bix's face.
Yeah.
That's it. And that is something that really eats at her too. Like, I think she's so afraid of, like, becoming what they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just killed somebody for they saw me. That was it. That was their only crime. And he kept saying, no, he was a soldier. He was a threat.
Yeah.
He's a soldier. He's Empire. He's ISB. These are terrible people. He was a threat. And she's so wrapped up in this, like, she's lost in her trauma, and she can't move past that. She can't get out of it. She needs therapy, and there is no therapist in this safe house.
No. But yeah, so I take back. I think it is in Luthen's wheelhouse to be that way just because he wants Cassian.
Yeah.
So it's not out of character.
He needs Cassian.
He needs Cassian
he's
has
mad
done
about it too.
Yeah.
He's not Cassian's biggest fan because Cassian's hard to control. He doesn't like it.
But
Cassian will go off and do his own thing. And
But
Luthen
Cassian
doesn't like that.
gets things done.
And he can't afford
And
to
he's
lose him.
effective.
Yep.
You cannot lose. And that's what set Cassian off, because Cassian comes back and
Yeah,
Bix, she cleans up. She kind of snaps into it a little bit. Kind of that interaction with Luthen kind of shook things up. And Luthen never told Cassian about his visit.
And he had plenty of time because Cassian.
They
you
flew
know,
back together.
Yeah, he had all that time to tell him and never did.
And I think that's where Cassian is starting to see, because like Cassian, I think always knew that Luthen's kind of like, he's shady. We
Yeah.
all know that, but I think this is where I think Luthen thought he was saving this relationship with Cassian to keep him doing his stuff. I think this on Cassian's end is kind of starting to sever that tether, keeping him there,
Yeah.
because he doesn't want anything to happen to Bix, and he doesn't like that Luthen is hiding things.
Mm-mm.
Especially when he is having conversations with Bix without him there.
Yeah. 'Cause Cassian just wants Bix to get better. He wants her to rest. He wants her to get healthy. He wants her to be okay and be his partner. Like,
Mhm.
he loves her. He cares about her so much. He wants her to just stay where she is and be safe so that she can rest. And he's pissed about the fact that Luthen came and potentially put her in danger or send her off onto somewhere. That
When she's not
mentally. No, she is not in a good headspace to be doing anything.
But I will say, Cassian came in like the great supportive partner that he is and helped her blow up that.
Oh my god. Wait, before we do that, can we talk about the flirting between him and Bix for a minute? Because it was so cute.
Oh, with him talking about being in
Yeah,
the
There in the
fancy.
sky. She was like, oh, who were you? She's like, well, or he was like, nice tailored suit, fresh blue, or fresh
It was
fresh
very
blue suit.
pretty looking.
It
I
was
think
very pretty. She was like, oh, you'll have to bring him home sometime.
and it was sweet.
This is so nice to see. Like, this is those little connections.
That's what I'm saying.
We
That
needed this, and it was so cute.
those small
And
moments
then-
that keep them humanized and going
Yep.
and have that hope. And then they
So
go
that they can go on.
and wreck havoc.
Oh, man.
It
It was so validating.
at first I thought it was a
so
dream.
validating.
So what happened was they followed the scientist, I forget his name, that tortured tortured.
I thought it
Bix.
was too.
I thought it
You
was a
see
dream.
him again, just like they opened the series
Yeah.
or the season.
And then all of a sudden she pops out behind the door and I'm like, this is a dream.
The way
like-
she was just like, I was like, oh,
Hanging
yes.
out there.
yes.
And then she puts the torture device on him and I was like,
Turns it
what?
up to max volume.
No shame. She's like, you're getting, and then they leave and they blow up the building.
Yep.
I was just like,
She goes through. She takes her time too. You can see, like, she puts the thing over his mouth, puts the thing on, and she goes, "Don't worry, it'll only feel like forever." And I mean, I was screaming. I was so happy.
and he was there to support her. Like
Mhm.
Cassian was like, I got you, boo.
Yep.
Let's do
Like,
this.
you need flowers. You need a hug. You need to explode your torturer. I got you.
Let's
Yes.
go. This is 100% validated. Like
Yep.
but that's Cassian, and we learned that that's Cassian
Mhm.
because
And
he
that is why
protects
we
his
love him.
people.
Yep.
He is loyal to his people, and Bix is his
Yep.
person.
Yep.
Like-
He will do anything for the people he cares about. And he's such a good character. He's such a good dude in this Star Wars universe.
What if this? Oh, go
Oh.
okay.
I'm
All right.
so, like, I'm just so pumped
So-
talking about that.
Hear
that
me out.
explosion again.
Hear me out. We talked about Cinta and getting this like meetup with. What if this is the lead to Bix's death in the next 3
I think
episodes?
it's absolutely coming.
Do you
There
think it's
is
the next
no
3
mention.
episodes? Or do you think it's? I think it's going to be the next. I think Will and maybe Bix in the next 3 because
I
of
wouldn't
how
be
it was.
surprised. I don't know if I have a real good guess about when, but I know it's coming soon. There is no mention of her ever again. Like, no mention of Bix. So we know that she doesn't make it very far.
Oh, Lonnie does make it.
Lonnie does?
Apparently, he's in like one of the scenes in Rogue One, like communicating. I read that somewhere, so don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure he's going to make it.
Okay. That's
Side
cool.
note, sorry, but yeah, I'm
I
so
Bix is gonna go soon, and that's going to propel Cassian to
I'm
do something big.
terrified that because they got that closure with that for Bix,
Yep.
it's going to
She's
lead.
had her arc. She came. I know it's coming soon, and I am not
No,
prepared.
I'm
Like,
not ready.
as much as I was gutted for Cinta and Vel, Bix is gonna just rip my heart out.
That one's going to hurt.
She's gonna hurt.
But next week, you know what we get?
What?
Maybe
You do?
Offset? Yes!
Yeah! Man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, in an interview, he talked about being in episode 8.
Yeah! Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait for
So
K2.
we do get K2 in the next episode. So we have that to look forward to. Yay! Like,
I'm
we
so
need
excited.
some sort of like.
We do, man. This is hot. This is
It's
getting heavy, and we
heavy.
knew it would because we know how it ends.
It
like,
is heavy.
I
It's-
am this show is so real, and like
That is another
I
thing that
mention
I've
things
seen.
here and there that I have lived through, and some of this is very parallel.
So I have seen a lot of people complain that this show is too political, like, especially with
Star Wars is always political.
We're going to go a little.
Always
We're going
has
to talk
been.
about this a little bit about how close to home it hits with
Oh.
current events.
Sure.
Here's the
So
kicker.
the Phantom Menace.
But here's the kicker. This show was written 2 years ago.
Right. And go back to the Phantom Menace. Trade Federation, embargoes, taxes, tariffs. I mean, Star Wars is political. At its core, it's politics.
But some people are complaining that it's too much like current.
Dude, they did the same
Politics.
thing with freaking
Oh yeah.
the one before Skeleton.
Oh,
Acolyte. They did the exact same thing with Acolyte.
No,
People
they just
will
didn't like that
find
they
a
had
reason.
lesbian witches.
Yeah, I guess that's but people will find a reason. And right now, people are hot about politics
And-
because it's big and it's current and it's exploding.
And then they see it in Star Wars and they're
Yep.
like, well, that's what this show
It's
has.
political.
This show has been about that the entire
Since
time.
day one.
This show was never a.
It has always been about corrupt governments and the little guys trying to rise up and keep their freedom.
Yep.
That's what Star Wars is.
Yeah, and so.
I don't know what to tell you guys.
But yeah, if you want to see like hot debates back and forth, go into like groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, all over the place. It's
Oh.
so great just watching.
just
like-
scrolling through all the drama.
Yes.
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 Yeah, it's always been political. I've never gotten into that argument because if you just pay attention to the story,
Wars
It's
deal
political.
with politics, and wars is literally in the name of the franchise.
wait, no, it's not. What?
Star Wars?
Star Wars? Is that what that word?
Yeah.
Was Star Wars? Fighting
all
politics
about-
battles?
Even Lucas, when talking about Star Wars, he would talk about the different regimes that they were supposed to be like modeled after,
Right.
and so
I
it's
mean,
come on, people, it's fine. But yeah, it's
yeah. We don't subscribe to that. We are aware.
but yeah. So next week will be interesting.
Yeah.
I need to watch it again. I feel like there's little things that I've missed.
This is badass. She is absolutely like she is. I don't even I can't find the word
So-
for it, but she is such a good torchlight for anybody who's had to go through sexual assault or abuse or torture or confinement or PTSD or any of these things. Like, she is such a beacon to look to. And again, with this, like, Star Wars is representation, and representation is very important. When you have gone through things that are heavy and you have never ever gotten to get that kind of closure for yourself or that kind of justice, if you want to say that, but you get to see a character that you identify with get theirs, you can internalize that a little bit. It's important.
I was gonna make one complaint about the show.
Go for it.
I feel like we haven't got enough Cassian growth.
Yeah. We haven't gotten a ton of Cassian.
I'm saying
period.
this show's Andor. I want more Cassian.
You
That's all I want.
the Book of Boba Fett, and people are like, "Where's Boba?"
Okay, yeah, there's like one whole episode of the like only 8 episodes that he wasn't there.
Yeah, you're like, "Where'd he go?"
I
His
want more.
name was on the show.
I want more Cassian.
I
But
do too. I think we're gonna start getting a lot more.
I think
These.
I think in the next 6 episodes, their
Yeah.
storylines are going to intertwine more and not be so spread out.
Yep.
I think that's where
And
we're
we're
leading.
losing people. I think we're going to lose these vantage points and these perspectives. And thinking about this too, like everybody that is being affected is somebody that affects Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things, like all of these deaths, all of these losses, they're going to affect him and they're going to propel him further into this cause. I mean, we get to see what takes Cassian from prisoner, right, on the prisoner on Narkina to Rogue One. We get to find out what does this and what the reason is. And I think a lot of that is going to come from the next 6 episodes. Because we know that Vix can't make it. We know that he can't. And we never see B again. B is very important to him. We're going to lose people that are going to crush us because we're supposed to feel what Cassian feels.
Yeah, so it's going to be
It's going to be hard.
I'm
I'm crying some more.
we haven't even gone into the thick of it yet.
No. I'm already crying.
So with that said, come back next week as we discuss episodes 7, 8, and 9. So finding the friend from our galaxy to yours.
May the force be with you.
Always.
Thank you for listening to Sisterhood of the Traveling Bantha, written and produced by Denise McKay.
Edited and produced by Rexy Jupiter. Original logo designed by Tyler Rigney.
Intro and outro music is provided by the Galactic Empire.
You can find us on all streaming platforms at Travel and Bantha.
And join our Discord for fun-filled galaxy chats.
You can also sign up for our Patreon starting at just $3. You get exclusive episodes, merch, behind the scenes, and more.
And a special thanks to all our Jedi Knight members and higher. We have Rooney, Michael Beavers, Mark Collier, and James Peak. From our galaxy to yours,
May the force be with you.
always.